It's fixed and it's out of here. Man, that turned out to be a shit show. Sit tight and I'm going to tell you all about it. That Jeep Wrangler belongs to a friend of mine. It's the same guy that owns that sweet little float plane that I featured on the channel a couple times. Now, he had a check engine light and he asked me if I'd have a look at it. On the Jeep, that is. P0404, that's an EGR position fault. And we took the vehicle out for a test drive while monitoring these PIDs. Notice how the EGR position actual does not keep up with the desired position. And notice how the sensor voltage is pegged at 4.3 volts. It doesn't budge from there. So we're kind of suspecting a stuck EGR valve. But this thing lives in a god-awful place. And even if all you want to do is do some diag, to be able to get to the EGR connector, you got to take the fender liner off. You've got to be able to get the EGR tube out. And good luck unplugging that connector. And we managed, and with the EGR connector unplugged and the bulk connectors at the PCM unplugged, was able to load test all 5 wires that go to this thing. And the wiring looks good. So we're looking at replacing that EGR. So my buddy went out to the Jeep dealer to price an OEM EGR. $900 plus tax. That's $1,000 for a stupid EGR valve, which he balked at, and I don't blame him. I would too. So he went online at Rock Auto, ordered this thing. Skyward, never heard of it. Made in China. And I'm not sure what this cancer warning is all about. So now we're not just unplugging the EGR connector, we're actually changing the old EGR valve. It's a really, really tough one. And there's a whole bunch of videos on YouTube where guys are cursing that. That's got to rep that particular valve in that location on that vehicle. But we're big boys, and we managed to do it, and we buttoned everything up, and then we went for a test drive. Same shit. The actual doesn't keep up with the desired, and that 4.3 volt is still pegged right there. It's not moving. So the PCM is giving the same voltage with the old EGR and the new EGR. And I know that the wiring between the EGR and the PCM is good. I'm not liking where this is going. So I cut the single wire near the bulk connector at the PCM. And with that small power supply, which is current control, like I put it like at 50 milliamp, right? Just to be safe. And now I'm trying to feed varying voltages directly onto that single wire at the PCM to see if the scan tool is able to read it, whatever I'm sending. 4.3 volts, that's it. Now I'm armed with a whole bunch of wiring diagrams. I check out all the powers and grounds to the PCM and they check out. And now I'm about to have a heart-to-heart with my buddy. Remember, this is at the DIY level, right? This is friend helping friend, right? It's not my Jeep and it's not my wallet. And we're about to go down like a $2,000 PCM call here. So you got to be honest with everybody and have the friend thoroughly involved in the whole process. And he was by my side, and his hands are just as dirty as mine through it all. And he's followed along, and the decision is his. So you're looking at a flagship one refurbished PCM, right? $1,800 Canadian. Took about 8 or 9 days to get here. We did price one at the Jeep dealer. They wanted $2,200 plus programming. So you might as well have them install it because, the vehicle wouldn't run if it's not programmed. You have to bring it to them anyway. So, you're leaving yourself open to what the final bill at the dealership would be here. So that's why we went with the $1,800 flagship one. And they programmed it to the VIN, and they promised that it would be plug and play. So there's one nice thing about the Jeep, as bad as the EGR position is, the PCM is a really, really nice, easy spot to get to, and we'll put that in. All right, moment of truth. Looking promising. So great, the PCM was plug and play just like Flagship had promised. I encountered a couple of trouble codes relating to accelerator pedal and throttle control, probably legacy codes from the donor vehicle from that PCM. I erased them and they never came back. And then we went for a test drive. Our worst fears. The actual is not keeping up with the desired, still stuck at 4.3 volts. So wiring is good, PCM is not the problem. Out comes that Chinese EGR. And then we bench tested it. So the actuation circuit works. I apply 12 volts, the valve stem opens and closes, right? So that's good. But the position sensor on that Chinese valve, the signal stays put. There's no change as the valve opens and closes. And I also did a comparison measurement of the resistance of the position sensor right here across. Okay, on the new Chinese valve is only 200 ohm. And on the old one that we took out was 2.5 kilo ohm, like big difference in there. So my buddy got back online. He was able to find a Mopar EGR for half of what the dealer wanted, 500 bucks. It's still a lot of money for an EGR valve, but it's on order. So whether it's a genuine OEM Mopar part or just an EGR that identifies as a Mopar, in this day and age, you can never trust anything, right? So that's another question, but it's coming here. Now it's fine and dandy to have all kinds of parts coming to caps casing, right? But this is getting expensive and some parts have to start going back. So no problem getting a refund on this thing. Right? It's not our fault, it's a defective part. So it's going back to Rock Auto for a full refund. But the Flagship 1 computer is not defective. Okay? So that's not Flagship 1's fault. So I got on the horn and I used my people skills. Yeah, I got people skills. And Flagship 1 agreed to refund my buddy's money, all except the $85 programming fee. They're waiving the 20% restocking fee. I mean, you just cannot ask for any better than that. Now that new Mopar EGR, when it came in, got bench tested before putting it in the vehicle. So the activation circuit worked. The valve opens and closes when you apply 12 volts. And the position sensor portion of the EGR valve is also working as expected. The voltage on the sensor wire fluctuates as the EGR opens and closes as we would expect. And as an added caution, I compared the resistance of this new Mopar EGR valve, like the position sensor resistor, and it came in at 3 kilo ohm, which is very much closer to the original one that came out of the vehicle, which was at 2.5 kilo ohm. So we got the new Mopar EGR valve in. You would think that it would get easier, the number of times that you put something in there, but we still struggled. But we got there and buttoned everything up, and it's time for a test drive. And it passed with flying colors. The actual position and the desired position match, and the sensor voltage fluctuates as it should. It got off of its 4.3 volt which I think was a substituted value. Went through a number of drive cycles and the engine light never came back on. So we went out for lunch. And then my buddy got in the Jeep to drive back home and the check engine light was on. So it's a new code, P406. So now a bunch of stuff is going through my mind, right? Are we dealing with another bad EGR valve? Or is there a small intermittent kind of problem with the wiring? I mean, I checked it thoroughly, but something intermittent where the single wire is making contact with a 5-volt reference or something like that, all kinds of things going through my mind. And then all of a sudden, it dawned on me. So there's a learning procedure for that EGR, right? And it's a simple thing. You just disconnect the negative battery, which we've done a number of times through this whole mess here, but not this last time. So the PCM is remembering the last EGR that was in there. You disconnect the ground wire on the battery, wait a bit, not just that the code gets cleared, but the memory of the previous EGR is wiped out, and then when you reconnect the battery, the PCM recognizes and stores values for the new EGR. Went for a number of drive cycles, and that P406 never returned. Finally fixed. So Monday morning quarterbacks, you can feel free to drop comments in the section. I'm a big boy, I can take it. That's all good. And I'm the kind of guy that also, in hindsight, I try to have a look at, what can I learn here, right? And what I take away is that when you get a online component that goes into a tough spot like this, that you first bench test it before putting it in there. That's what I learned. As to this charcoal style in the video here, that's just me being artsy fartsy. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and catch you guys soon.